please.
Step aside.
He's in B2. Pulse ready.
I beg you.
Sir, what's the rhythm?
Busy.
Get the family out.
Sir.
Get him out, please. Give me the pads.
Charging.
Pulse.
Ready.
I know. I've never seen anything like it. Antonio didn't reach you?
What?
It's Donovan. The growth is shrinking. It's like the disease is cured.
That scene was from the 2006 Darren Aronofsky film, The Fountain. I think Hugh Jackman's character and the emotional journey he goes on is an excellent proxy for where you could start a compelling, grounded Mr. Freeze story. I've been thinking a lot about this notion ever since I saw Matt Reeves' The Batman. This film, The Fountain, is tragic, it's deep, and this film is one medical researcher's quest to desperately find a cure, a fountain of life, if you will, to rid his wife of her brain tumor. Spoilers, he discovers a viable cure moments after she is pronounced dead. This movie is worth a watch at least once, especially if you consider yourself a cinephile or a fan of film. If you do remember, I would take away only the character moments from this film, not the DMT astral trip looking journey through time and space and the conquistador allegory. Another film I find inspiration from is 2010's You Don't Know Jack, starring Al Pacino as Dr. Kevorkian, about the real-life doctor who became famous for his willingness to perform assisted suicides for terminally ill patients and greatly disabled people. This film demonstrates how what might be thought of as extremely unethical practices can actually be motivated by compassion and empathy. Dr. Kevorkian's own experience watching his mother suffer on her deathbed essentially underpins his motivation to cast off the shackles of the Hippocratic Oath and act on what he believes is a greater moral purpose. And therein lies what I think could be a compelling foundation for Victor Freeze, Mr. Freeze. Only in his story, instead of his mother, it would be his wife, Nora. And instead of a brain tumor, it would be some form of rare cancer or a disease that would ravage different parts of the body. But how do we bring the Batman into the picture? I think we could echo Dr. Kevorkian's moral complexity by having Victor Freeze participate in assisted suicides for people who are currently suffering from the same life-threatening illness as his wife Nora did. Maybe an exchange could occur in which Victor promises to assist them, quote-unquote, out of suffering, and in exchange, they agree to allow him to perform research on their body post-mortem, with the goal of trying to help other people. Where I think Batman could come in is that his whole scenario could be presented from the perspective of the Gotham PD, possibly, in that they are discovering frozen and, from their perspective, mutilated corpses with missing organs and limbs. Where they suspect a serial killer, Batman senses something below the surface that's missing. He begins to research and discovers that all of these corpses were people who shared the same underlying condition, and naturally the clues lead him to confront Victor Freeze. Batman is on a quest for justice to send Victor to Arkham, believing that he has gone mad over the death of his wife and his tragic failed attempts to discover a cure. Cue the third act. The twist could be that while Victor is on trial, Batman discovers additional evidence and corpses that have been treated in a similar manner but did not suffer from the same underlying condition, and that this could be the case because maybe a corrupt district attorney, under the pressure to get a prosecution, chose only to reveal evidence that pushed their narrative, or maybe simply the Gotham PD was just incompetent and overlooked key pieces of evidence that only Batman would know because of his previous research into this case. Batman could dig deeper and discover evidence of another player, an actual serial killer, and Batman has to visit Victor in jail and pressure Victor into revealing how he disposed of the bodies of the people he used for research, and gets Victor to admit that he paid off some gangster or small-time street criminals to do it for them, because it was just something he couldn't handle. Batman realizes that whoever was disposing of the bodies had some sick motivations and decided to try their own brand of murder and mutilation in a similar manner, but had no idea why Victor was doing this and why he was needing to dispose of the bodies in the first place, which ultimately ends up being the reason Batman was able to catch Victor, and Victor ends up going to Arkham under the conviction of multiple serial murders for which he never actually committed. Batman can't get the Gotham PD to take him seriously that there is another killer, and the film ends with the revelation that possibly Victor Zsasz, the serial killer, is actually the one who was disposing of the bodies, and Victor, being innocent of how awful the criminal underworld is, had no idea who he was. Cue the end of the film and the realization that Batman now has to find a way to get Victor out of Arkham Asylum and catch Victor Zsasz. Sequel, please.